This is my chainsaw. Now this is my chainsaw too. I'm out here today to talk to you about chainsaws, and in particular this one here. So this is an electric chainsaw. Battery is not attached at the moment. It's called the Prunarbo. It's from Kebtec, and let's have a little closer look at it. So here it is, the Prunarbo 8-inch brushless electric chainsaw. This is what the box is like. Now, as you can see, this is not new in box. I've been using it. Instruction manual, which is colour and very useful. You've got your charging AC adapter, some gloves, that's more to help with vibration rather than cuts. You've got a 4 amp battery here, we're going to talk some more about that. Some protective goggles, and over here we have some tools and a brush, and in here somewhere as well I've got, yep, a spare chain as well. Now you may have noticed the US adapter. I have to use a different adapter, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So let's have a closer look at the saw. Okay, so here's the saw itself. Fits comfortably in the hand there. It's what did I say, 21 volt brushless motor. Brushless motors have a longer life than normal motors. It's 1.9 kilograms weight. I think that's just the saw. I'll correct myself on the screen. And then you've got your battery. Slots in like so, just like any normal tool. The chain is 8 inches and has a guard on it. And apparently it's 11 millisecond chain speed, if that means something to you. Battery lasts 40 to 60 minutes, and I do some testing with that in this video. The battery itself, some of you may recognise it, it's the same as a Makita battery, so completely compatible, and I have tried it with another Makita battery as well. I think it was a 5 amp but 18 volt, worked perfectly fine as well. So if you use Makita tools or you need to get a battery quickly, very handy that. The charge of the battery as well, pretty quick, it's 2 hours, and that would just charge on a Makita charger as well. We've tried that as well. Now, chain oil, although this is electric, you still do need chain oil, and you have your reservoir here, just a easy thumb screw opening, and just pours in there. I already have chain oil from my other chainsaw, exactly the same stuff. It goes in there, and you can see your level on your chain oil on the side here. The first time I used this, obviously I put the oil in first, run it for a bit. It took a little while to start going, and you start seeing them little speckles of chain oil come out as you're using it, and that's when I started to cut with it. So I'm going to be completely honest here. When I first saw this, when I got emailed by Kebtec about their Prunarbo, I'd seen other electric chainsaws, handheld ones, that weren't so good, and I fully expected this to be a complete failure and just a bit of a laugh of a video. But in reality, it actually really surprised me. I'm very impressed with it. I saw, if you know Big Clive on YouTube, he's taken a similar thing apart, and these things are built quite solid inside. So I took it out, took it to a woodland with a friend of mine who's a forester. He looked it over and said everything looked fine to him. And I thought, to be safe, I'll try some pine first, some small bits of pine. Went through extremely easily. So with my cherry popped, I went on to some harder stuff, went on to some chestnut. Was very impressed, as was my friend. Seemed very safe to use, wasn't jumping about or anything like that. So I gave it a good charge. I came to my woods here, and I decided to give it a proper go. So I took all of the firewood I currently had in my shed and started to process it. Small bits, big bits. I eventually got through all of it, which I wasn't expecting to do at all. I thought it'd run out quite quickly. So I started finding random logs and taking chunks of them off, and it was still going. So I went and found a downed oak tree. I'd taken a limb off of it previously, which took an age with a saw, and I started to take chunks of that off. I can't remember how many it was, you'll see on the screen at the moment, but it just kept going and going and going. I fully processed that and then went on to another limb, and it went halfway through that. So yeah, I was extremely impressed with how long it lasted. So yeah, like I said, extremely impressed with it and very surprised. Yeah, fantastic little tool. Now I've written a few notes for myself here. Downside, you could say the chain guard's a downside, but I mean it's going to help. It didn't actually get in my way at all. I thought it would, because that's its full movement. But I guess you could take it off. It's just a screw if you really needed to. The other downside was that it doesn't come with a proper sleeve guard, kind of like you would get with a full-size chainsaw. Yeah, I'd like to see that, maybe a carry case for it as well, but it's going to depend on your use. Now speaking of uses, my first thoughts with this from my background is someone who runs a bushcraft school, or maybe woodcraft, crafting, you know, handmade chairs, things like that, or if you're processing wood for carving or for making like Swedish torches, something like that. Something like this on hand, very quick and easy to use, processing a few bits of wood, stick it in the back of your car, truck or van, quite handy for that. Of course it's called the Prunarbo, and that's because it is a gardening tool, so it's going to be good for odd jobs if you've got a big garden or a small piece of land or something, just keeping it in your shed, just getting in when you need it, just to trim off a limb or something, or processing some firewood at home. Going to be great for that as well. One other use I could think of for someone who does some kind of fencing or hedging, when you're constantly working and grabbing and cutting, quick one-handed cuts, that sort of thing. That's someone who might see use from something like this as well. If you're only doing the odd cut, it could last you all day, or all you have to do is take another battery out with you. So yeah, that's the Prunarbo. I've been out 3 times with it now, once for firewood, once for that full test, and once for that initial test with my sort of forestry friend who gave it a look over himself. Opening up the chainsaw, extremely easy. It's exactly like with a normal chainsaw basically, as is with the tensioning and the changing of the chain. So extremely easy, and you have the tools in the box there as well to do that. It's a pretty complete tool. If it came with a case, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 really. Really did surprise me. These electric chainsaws, all of them, are getting much better now. But yeah, this was, you know, pretty impressive. You've even got the dogs here for digging in and holding it steady. Nice bit of kit. Now at the moment I believe it's only available in the US. I'll have a discount code which I'll put there and a link below. If it is out in the UK by the time this video comes out, I'll link that down below as well. If not, they've said it's coming soon. So yeah, the Kebtec Prunarbo handheld electric brushless 8-inch chainsaw. There's a mouthful. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.